miss college football. Just throwing it out there. I really hope we have a season this year. Hey, welcome back to The Market Investor. I'm Daniel Snyder. Thank you so much for checking out this video. We're going to talk about ex-dividend dates. What are they? Why does it matter? Why you need to be holding your shares of stock before the ex-dividend date. So let's get into it. So let's get into ex-dividend dates. Ex-dividend date is the date on the calendar that at that point when the board of directors say, we're going to pay a dividend to all the common shares of stock for the prior quarter, because we were so profitable, this is the date that we are going to decide that is the ex-dividend date. And therefore, if you are trading or investing, buying the shares of stock on that date, you will not capture the dividend from the prior quarter. So let's say that March 23rd is the day. So March 23rd is going to be our ex-dividend date. Then we have what's called the record date. And that's just pretty much when they take note of everybody that has shares of stock in the company, how many they have and how much they should be paid for their dividend. And that's usually typically the day right after the ex-dividend date. So in our example of March 23rd is the ex-dividend date, then March 24th is going to be the record date. And this is not assuming that it's a Friday to Monday scenario, because weekends are a little bit more tricky. So March 23rd comes around, and March 23rd being the ex-dividend date pretty much states that at that point in time, any shares that are moving around in the market are moving based purely off supply and demand, not based off of being able to get the upcoming dividend that the company is going to pay out for the quarter. So as you can probably guess, we want to be holding those shares of stock before the ex-dividend date that the company announces, and specifically the day before, because if you're buying the shares of stock on the ex-dividend date, with the way that the stock market handles and processes the buying and selling of these financial assets, you're not going to get it. You're not going to capture that dividend, because you're going to have that settlement time. And the settlement time can take a day or two, so that you're not actually on their books by the time they get into the record date. You want to have the shares of stock before the ex-dividend date, and then you have the ex-dividend date, and then you have the record date. So your shares of stock are settled before they take record of everybody that is holding shares in the company, and then you capture that dividend for the quarter. And this is a way that people try to just look across the market, calculate, okay, who are the companies that are continuing to pay their dividends? They've never missed it over the last 10 years. They're trying to calculate what their ex-dividend date is going to be so that they can capture the dividend, take the value in, and then go on and invest somewhere else. Not saying that you should be that type of investor or that type of trader, but there are people out there that do that. So where can you find the ex-dividend date? The ex-dividend date can be found multiple places, as you can imagine. News outlets typically pick it up. The investor relations of the actual companies typically have those dates once they announce them. And then also just anywhere you can really Google search it, right? Just Google search ex-dividend date, Tesla. And speaking of which, Tesla, if nobody's looked today, when they announced their earnings of $1.24 for the first quarter of 2020, when everybody was expecting them to lose 32 cents a share, the stock just shot up pretty much like $70, $80 in aftermarket. So the share right now, after market hours, is trading around $870. Insane. That's a side note. Just had to throw that in there. So one thing I do need to know is that the day of the ex-dividend, you should expect that the share price of the stock is actually going to fall in the market by the price of the dividend, because that's how they pay dividends, right? They take the money out of the company instead of reinvesting it into the company to pay out the shareholders. And so say it's $1.60. You're going to see that $1.60 fall in the share price. Although that's not to say that there's not going to be the supply and demand to pump that stock share price right back up. So keep that in mind when you're calculating ex-dividend dates and which companies you want to buy. And then the last thing to note about ex-dividend dates is typically when the actual dividend date of payment comes around, the stock price really doesn't move, because they already moved on the ex-dividend date. So it's kind of like one of these things where you'll learn and you'll hear about how the stock market trades in the future. They already have this information that a dividend is going to be paid out on May 29th, but it was announced on March 23rd in our example. So when they announced it on March 23rd, you're immediately going to see the decrease in the price. And then on May 29th, you're not even going to see an effect of the dividend being paid out, because it's already been priced in to the share price on the open market. And that's ex-dividend dates. So keep that in mind when you are buying stocks that have dividends. You want to make sure you're holding the stock before the ex-dividend date through the record date just to be safe, so that you can calculate and capture that upcoming dividend. Now, you will see the stock possibly move based off of the dividend being paid out, but you still get to capture that dividend. Although I'm more about dividend reinvestment plan, you guys know this. Take the dividend, buy more shares of the stock if you really believe in the company, and let that thing just go and go and go. Capture all those shares, reinvest it, and just let that time and money just compound and make you a millionaire, right? That's the idea. So that's all I have for you for this time. I hope you subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the episode. And if you have any questions, reach out to us on social media or leave your questions, comments in the section below. And I will see you in the next one.